Nalu. Nalu.
Transition in. Unmute. All right, let's give this a try. Let's see. Test, test. Let's see what's going on here. All right, yeah, we're good to go here. All right, Shawn. So we're live. We're working through a couple of technical difficulties. And, well, welcome back to part 2 of the 2024 Iditarod preview. Shawn, my guy, you're a busy man, dude. Shawn's been running back and forth, visiting Matt Thaler's. And how's that been going, man?
Pretty good. I got a new hoodie.
Nice.
Yeah, 17th dog. It was cool. I did some tours for Matt and saw his place is pretty awesome, and he was getting ready for this. There's a sled dog race tomorrow. I don't know if you know about that.
I'm sorry, what? What was it? Well, come again?
Yeah, he's gonna be it's a 1,000-mile sled dog race. It's called the Iditarod. It starts tomorrow.
Oh, no kidding. Who would have thought?
Getting ready for that, and yeah, it was cool. I did play some music last night, and that was super fun. And I didn't get a lot of sleep, but I'm happy to be here. And yeah, how are you doing, Brennan?
Dude, I'm doing pretty good, man. Just trying to get this off the ground is a thing, and I am no expert at doing what I'm doing, so there's a little trial and error. And I guess one thing I'll go ahead and just throw this out there for anyone who's watching us live right now. Please let us know in the chat right now how our volume is, because I know that was a hot topic for our part 1, and obviously I want to get that on the front end so y'all are able to hear this easily throughout. But I think we got this right. I've shoved this microphone in my face. I've turned all the settings up as good as they can, so we should be good. But dude, man, are you not getting stoked? I mean,
Dude, I am pretty stoked. I'm a little, yeah. I'm things are happening. Kind of just, I'm having a kind of hectic day, and so I feel like I don't even know. I'm just gonna wake up tomorrow and the Iditarod is gonna be starting. Like but it's cool, man. It is exciting, and I'm ready to get this thing going and see what happens this year.
right on, man. So yeah, like, you don't really truly know exactly what you're going to be doing out there on the trail yet, do you?
I don't. I don't. So, I'm just trying to pretend like try to put my next best foot forward. And right now, that's just me and you talking about the 2024 Iditarod sled dog race. You know, and I think we should start there.
Dude, all right. So on that note, just brought in
Whoa,
just brought in the ticker, brah. What do we have to go?
dude,
What do we have to say
sick.
there, man?
Whoa, dude, this is like ESPN except for it's good.
I mean, we're trying here. If just each time I can add one new element to what we're pulling off here, I think that come, you know, 10 days, 11 days from now, everyone will be pretty happy with what we're doing. So, I'm certainly trying my hardest here, and, you guys just bear with me. So, no one's made a comment that it's like horrible or anything, I don't think yet. So, let's see. Shawn just a bit lower than Brendan. Okay. You
That's
got
good beta. Thank you.
Yes, yes. Thank you, Cindy. We appreciate that. Oh, another thing I wanted to throw out there for anyone who asks a question or interacts, say where you're from. Kind of want to just like make it a little bit interactive. I'm curious where you're listening from. If it's, I would think it's Alaska, but I remember last year we had people that were watching from all over the place. So, yes, sir. So Shawn, I am curious about. Have you had a chance to look at the weather?
Yeah, I looked at it yesterday. I need to look at it again, but it looked like it was cold last night here, and if it's cold here and cold in Willow, it's colder. Um, like in Nikolai and McGrath, and uh, maybe slightly colder as well on your way to Squintin and Yentna and on the rivers and stuff. So it was -10 this morning in Willow. It's probably something similar out there on the trail, and uh, those we want those nice cold, like that's a good temperature. I mean, ideally, I'd be nice to be mushing at -10 in the morning. It was almost kind of hot this afternoon. The sun's out. It's March. It's spring. Like the sun is always a factor in this race, and you'll see mushers constantly trying to figure out how they can get their team just kind of bedded down and soaking up the sun in the heat of the afternoon. But the reality is, at some point, you're probably going to have to run at least partially during the heat of the day. And someone like Ryan Reddington, his dogs. I asked him what is his makes his dogs, separates them. What is one characteristic of them, and he thinks that he thinks they do well in warmer weather, which it can be tricky for teams that are training in Fairbanks where it's below zero a lot of the winter, and you don't get those exposure to those warmer days as much. Whereas that's one of the perks of maybe training in the lower 48, or is you're getting a closer uh, simulation of like what Alaska Iditarod Trail might be in March, but you can get that in December and January. So,
Right on.
but it is
So
supposed to warm up, I think, going into the week. Not like a lot, but like it's going to be above zero and in the 20s, and so that probably means that the trail's good. But I mean, I don't know if the trail's going to be necessarily good or bad, but like usually it means a little softer if it's at that temperature. Little slower maybe, but teams are going to be going fast. It's day one, day two of the Iditarod. You'll see some fast speeds nonetheless.
right. So the next thing I wanted to ask you, and we put the ticker in at the bottom. Throughout the week, that's going to have different stuff. If there's any like kind of news or any updates, we can put whatever we need to down there. But for the sake of doing this today, it is the order that the bib numbers were drawn, and then I also like kind of put a little note on each of the mushers, so you can see like someone's a rookie or Deke is his fourth appearance, and so one thing that I wanted to ask you as it relates to the bib drawing is there? I see you shaking your head a little bit, but is there
I just thought it was cool. I was shaking my head in amazement at what you've done.
Oh, okay. All right. Hey, give me. I'll take a little props. Thank you, thank you. But I'm sure that some people don't care what numbers they draw, right? However, for maybe like the competitive people that are like trying to win, is there a rhyme or a reason to the bib number in terms of like, are they looking to get one of the first numbers and be one of the first out on the trail, or are they like what's your thoughts there?
I think they probably want to be in the front. There's some, I guess there's some scenarios where I guess it'd be nice to be in the back, and but the reality is you don't want to be stuck behind a bunch of teams knowing you are going to pass them. It's just a fact. If you're competing in this race, whether you do well or not, you are going to pass some of those teams, and you're going to want to pass them early on. Some of those like teams that are just trying to get there to the finish line and complete their rookie race.
Right.
And maybe sometimes those teams end up beating the teams that are trying to compete too early in this race because it's such a long way and it's hard to get. You want to set yourself up for a shot in the last third of the race, but you also, you don't want to get too. I'll say this time and time again. You'll probably hear it all week, dude, from all the other mushers. But you can't win the race on the first couple days, but you can certainly lose it.
There it is. Okay. All right.
I don't even know what question you asked. I don't even know what were we talking. What did you ask me?
I was talking about the bib numbers, just if there's a rhyme or reason
Bib
to
numbers, right.
wanting a certain number or not.
I think there's two good reasons to be in the front of two reasons you'd want to have a low bib number is firstly, yeah, if you're competing, you can get just to be out in front at the beginning, but it's really of little consequence, dude. Passing team, these guys know how to pass. It's not really that big of a deal, but it is kind of nice. It's a luxury. But the biggest thing is that during your 24-hour rest, you make up your time differential, and I mean, it's a big difference. So you make up your time differential, and so 70 extra minutes on your 24 is you'd rather have it on your 24 than at the start line. But if you start late, you're starting at 3:30, and maybe you have like 1.5 hours less of having that heat in your run, that middle of the afternoon heat, and get to those cooler temperatures quicker. And if you're not competing, it might be nice to have in the back of the pack and let all the yahoos go out in front of you. Let them pack down the trail maybe and start doing your thing. So it's like the short answer is it really isn't a huge consequence. It's not going to affect your race, but it will help some people out a little tiny bit.
Sure. So here's my thoughts. If I'm one of the top 5-10 mushers in the Iditarod, I'm thinking I want one of the early numbers. Get out, right? If you're in the back of that, you avoid, all the damage that everyone in front of you has done. And then you get an extra, amount of time added on to your 24. I kind of like that. That's just where Brendan's head at. Again, Couch Musher McGee over here. But for what it's worth, that's my 2 cents.
I think you're onto something.
Right on, right on. So yeah, we're gonna talk about some mushers, and I think that Shawn, I think that you are able to talk about a lot of mushers off the dome, and so we can go a couple different ways with this. I can pull like a name out of a hat, and like you can start talking about them, or I know that you've recently, I think you mentioned that you'd seen Connor a few times. Y'all went out and had a few beers. I don't know if there's anyone you want to start with, and then I can lead you from there. But we've got endless options here, man.
I don't know who Bryce Mumford is. Can you educate me on Bryce Mumford?
You want me to educate you?
Yeah, I thought you knew. I thought you had all the things, right? Sounds like you do.
I mean, I can read you his memo on the Iditarod website.
All right, why not? Let's do it.
Right on, dude. Well, let's go on over to Mr. Bryce Mumford. So Bryce is an Idaho-based musher, a lower 48er, as Shawn likes to say.
It's
And
not just me. Okay.
it's not just
Lower
me.
48 is not. There's not a connotation to that. It's just the description of the contiguous United States. It's a wonderful place.
Fair enough, fair enough.
Yeah.
So yeah, rookie from Idaho. I'm doing a little bit of prepping for you here so you can have something to look at.
I mean,
Um,
it's all you at this point.
it's all me.
It's all. I don't know anything about Bryce. I was just kind of curious. Like, okay, he's from Idaho, drove up here, and excited to see what he's got going on. I've never seen the Idaho mushing scene too much, but uh, I don't think people show up to that Iditarod unprepared.
Yeah, I think that, I mean, just based off of his picture on the website, I think the guy is gonna have a good time out there. And but no, I don't. I don't have like his races or anything lined up like that. But I'm just gonna do a little work here for you, Shawn. You weren't supposed to pick the first person that you don't know anything about. You're supposed to help me out with that a little bit.
Oh, okay. I thought that you had a tone of like, dude, I got all these epic write-ups because you keep surprising me, and I thought I might have maybe I just kind of
you
picked up
know,
on that.
you
But
probably thought I was.
all, the only thing I'm thinking is just don't make a Mumford and Sons reference because you know that he's had to deal with that his whole life.
Right. That's a good point, man.
But like we already did it. It's too late.
I mean, thanks for that, dude. Good job with that.
But I didn't I did tastefully, I think, by recognizing.
Yes, you did. So yeah, 43-year-old out of Idaho. He's got a couple kids, and they love outdoors. It says that in '08 an Iditarod television series got him interested in sled dogs, and it wasn't long before he got his first sled dogs. When he started racing dogs in longer races, his father was recruited to be his handler. His kids also began mushing in junior races. After a few years, his father decided he wanted to give mushing a try. It has become a hobby for the whole family. They've run the Idaho Sled Dog Challenge, the 100-mile version of that, and they did that in 22. And they were dubbed by the local paper, like he did it with his whole family, as the Mushing Mumfords, not Mumford and Sons,
Oh no.
although he does have one son, so it's just Mumford and son and daughter. Um, their adventures as a family have brought them closer together and have helped them pursue challenging goals and endure difficult times. Without his family, pursuing Bryce's dream of running the Iditarod would not be possible. He's run multiple mid-distance races, including Montana's Race to the Sky 300, the Eagle Cap Extreme 200 in Oregon, and the Idaho Sled Dog Challenge 300. Finishing his 300-mile race and being awarded the best cared for team in the Race to the Sky was a highlight. He loves spending time with his dogs and watching them grow and work. Bryce would also like to thank his parents for making his dream possible, his uncles and handlers, and his wife and kids for allowing him to pursue this adventure. He would also like to thank other mushers who've encouraged and helped him and supported him along the way. So that my
Damn, dude, that was an epic write up, dude. Good job,
I
Bryce
know.
Mumford.
I was gonna say they really helped us out
Wow.
on that one.
Yeah, dude. I thought it was gonna be like Mumford. I like mushing, so that's cool. And those races, I spent a winter down in Oregon, and I've heard a lot about the Idaho Sled Dog Challenge having like the most vertical gain of like any sled dog race, like not even close. Like it's in like 30,000. You climb Everest twice. I remember someone told me that. And so, those are some tough events down there. I think that there's a lot of differences with the for better and for worse on both sides doing mushing in Alaska versus down there. And it sounds like this might be his first time. I don't know for sure, but based on that write up, it does seem like it might be his first time up here mushing. And I'm betting that he's been up here for more than 3 days. You got to get your dogs up with plenty of time. So maybe he's done some training up here and some of the local trails, but I think it's going to be really, really fun for him to see Alaska in this way, as it is for everybody. But I think it's even more special coming from down there and getting to experience this epic expedition. So I'm really excited and happy. I love hearing a family affair, getting like the whole squad into it, and that's a really, all these families that grow up around dogs, they do learn how to just deal with things and how to be cold for a little bit, or how to just problem solve in ways that you might not otherwise get to learn. So it's really cool it sounds like it's really cool what Bryce is doing, and I look forward to hopefully meeting him, and I'm glad I have a great write up.
Yeah. Shout out to whoever in his camp gave him that write up, because that was very solid. So I want to move on to one of our rookies. So we're going to start out here with Aaron Ultimus, and Aaron is also a lower 48er. She's coming to us from Grand Marais, is I think how I'm going to say it. Marais, Minnesota. She's representing Sawtooth Racing. And so her husband and her have been racing dogs for 12 years. They learned to run dogs at the YMCA camp Minijin, and a few years later, they acquired their own team. A mushing friend invited them to a race, and soon they were breeding dogs and racing. They now have 30 dogs in their kennel located in Minnesota. She works as a nurse at the local hospital. Our usual roster of races includes the Bear Grease, the UP 200, Can-Am, and Gunflint Mail Run. We have both wanted to run Iditarod for many years, but the dream was sidelined for a while after the birth of our daughter Sylvia, now 6. Now we have the right team and the right circumstances, and look forward to seeing Alaska behind a dog team.
That's gonna be so cool, man. I think it's gonna be, dude. The Iditarod Trail is not like, dude. It's it's really remote, and so what's cool about the lower 48 races is that they, like, from what I'm talking a little bit out of my ass just because I've never actually seen one, but it's a little bit more populated areas, and the trails are probably better taken care of and more regularly groomed. And I'm sure there's days where there's bad trails. I'm sure there's races with tough trails. I'm not saying that, but dude, yeah, Iditarod Trail is pretty gnarly. And so I'm excited to see, like, you can see trails like that up here that's not on the Iditarod Trail. You can train for this stuff here. And I don't know that you can in so many places down there. I'm not saying that you can't. I'm talking out of my ass a little bit. But I am saying, just, I don't know. It's going to be pretty like cool experience getting to see the Dalzell Gorge and going through something like that. going through that river outside of Rhodes, so gnarly, and that's not even like a third of the way in, you know. So I'm really excited I'm really excited to hear the thoughts of Bryce and Aaron at the end of this race. Like, what are you like? What? How was it? Like to experience it from that lens of coming and spending your mushing career down there and then going and doing this. They have been training up here though. They did run the Two Rivers race events and they've been up here training. But you know, I'm really excited to see what they think.
Yeah, yeah. And there are a couple of other. If you want, we can just go there. I think there's a few other lower 48ers. Let's see. I think Jeff Reed is another one.
No, he's not.
I thought he.
In Fairbanks.
But didn't he relocate? I thought no. I guess.
Not to my knowledge.
Okay, fair enough. Actually, no. Those two actually might be the only two that are lower 48ers. So,
well, warm welcome up here, and I hope that I think I got a feeling that the mushing community is really, really, really excited to have you up here, and I certainly am. Yeah. Why don't we? Well, those are both rookies. Why don't we continue down that path?
all right. Let's hit. I mean, you just spent time with Connor, so we can his bio his bio is probably written by him. It's one sentence. I have worked with dogs since I was 15 years old, and once I met and worked with sled dogs. It's all I've done since. So, if any of you listened to Connor's episode that we did, yeah, he's been doing the dog thing as much as he can and figuring out a way just to like fully engulf himself in that. So, this one sentence write up by him makes a lot of sense. But he's coming to us from the Yukon Territory in Canada, and having spent time with him, Shawn, what do you think his outlook is like going into the race?
Stoke, pure Stoke. He's been working at this every day, all day for 5 years. You know, I know that some people maybe longer, but like he's really been grinding. He's literally got like his own kennel that he did a lot of those years by himself. Now he's got a girlfriend and another handler, and they've been a tremendous help. It sounds like, and they're super nice. I was fortunate to meet them, and he seems like really experienced just in the way that he talks about dogs, and you know, and the he went out and did some runs locally, just kind of went out on the trail without a real plan. You know, that's a sign of a musher that's just kind of like, I got this. Like he just has confidence and it's like, we're gonna go out there. Well, turning a team around can be kind of a pain in the ass, especially when you got an Iditarod team that's all trained up and well rested. And so you kind of like, there's usually some concern, but you're like, this is a trail that people mush on. Like, let's just go out there. There's certainly going to be a turnaround. And if not, I can turn around the team. But, so yeah, going and taking it. But he had help with the girls. And anyways, seems like I've only hung out with him 2 times. And he's like, feels like a brother to me. Super nice.
Yeah.
Really fun to talk to. He's got a killer Canadian accent. And
hey, excuse me there, eh?
And yeah, it's he's, we're kind of bros. He's kind of a Canadian bro, and I like that about him. So I'm really excited to see him out there, and I think he's going to be, just getting. It's cool to hear, like he says stuff like, my team's really good at resting, because he took, I believe it was on the Quest 300. Went like 15 or 20 miles and took a rest, just because I don't remember what the reason was. Maybe it was like hot out, or it was I don't know, it wasn't hot out on the quest, but there was a reason that was legit, and he was just like, dude, I can literally mush 15 miles and my dogs would just like go take a nap and it's not a problem. So I was like, that's kind of cool. Like I certainly couldn't do that with any of my dog teams that I've ever run. So he's literally like living and working with the dogs and is really, 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 really close relationship with them since he's known them their whole lives. Not to say that anyone else doesn't have that, but like it's his own thing that he's made happen, and it's a small kennel and something about the connection that he has with his dogs, it just feels super personal. And I think he's just ready to get out there. I think he's ready for this task. Absolutely. I know he scratched from the quest, but I think that was kind of just to get his team right. He ended up, the quest ended up getting shortened, and he wished he hadn't scratched, but whatever. But I think he's not going in here like trying to compete to win it. He's just trying to in here to get his team kind of going, get him in travel mode. I don't think he's I mean, obviously most rookies aren't in this to win it, but like I don't think he has any. I think it's one of those things you're just gonna get out there and he has like a somewhat conservative schedule to start with, and then we'll see what happens, see how the dogs look. Maybe that changes. But like, I think he's I'm really pulling for him. I think he's gonna do great.
Right on. Right on. Well, Connor, yeah, we had a great time getting to know you on recording the podcast, and I've chatted with him a few times following up, and he's definitely got a good outlook, and I think that he'll have a great time out there. So I'm sure there'll be some highs and lows for him, but I think that he's kind of prepared for that. So let's move on. Another rookie. We'll start talking about Will Rhodes. Will is born and raised in the northwest corner of California and moved to Alaska over 20 years ago. He was introduced to dog mushing during the winter of '98, training dogs with Joe May in the southern Yukon. In 2000, Will met his future wife, Brenda Mackey, on the Juneau Icefield, where they worked as sled dog tour guides. Will and Brenda attended UAF and raised their daughter Isabel before developing their own kennel in Two Rivers, Alaska in 2012. Will splits time dog mushing working as a professional geologist and project manager for Atna Engineering Services. Will has competed in many mid-distance races throughout Alaska since he was racing in 2013 and has received the Humanitarian Award. For Will, breeding, training, and racing sled dogs is an extremely rewarding experience second to none. He looks forward to traveling the Iditarod Trail with his young and talented dog team. He is married to Brenda Mackey, and they are the parents of Isabel Rhodes. Shout out to Will Rhodes. So, Shawn, what can you tell us? Are you familiar with Will in any way? Have your paths crossed?
I haven't met him, but I know that I've seen his dogs that he's running. His dogs were in the Iditarod with me, with Brenda as the musher, and Brenda has had a really some really strong showings in mid distance races, and has proven that dog team is fierce and fast. And when Nick Petit was on his like hair of the mid distance races, she was right up there with him on a couple of those events. So they got good dogs. I don't know how their training season went, but Fairbanks is Two Rivers area. They probably got some really good training in this year, I would hope, and I think they've got an incredibly talented team. And what a cool story, the way that they met each other, working down at Alaska Icefield Expeditions, which, if you've been around the mushing scene, almost half the mushers have probably worked down there at some point. Matt Hall is been working there for years, and a lot of my friends have been on working on that glacier down there or working for AIE in some way. So they met down there. They around sled dogs and started a family and started a kennel. And so excited to get this kennel deserves an Iditarod finish under their belt, and hopefully things go well for Will. And you've got the expertise of Brenda, who's seen the trail, been on it, had some tough times on the trail. We all have, and I think that these guys are going to do well. And I'm interested to see what his I bet you if I asked, it'd be something like, I don't know if we're going to really be pushing to get towards the front necessarily. But it's always one of those things like you could just pull the hook at the start. You kind of have a conservative race schedule idea, but you also in the back of your mind, you're like, well, what if the dogs look good? 500, 600 miles in, maybe we can squeeze into the top 15. It's not unreasonable to see, if Will Rhodes has an amazing race, he could be, a dark horse top 20, maybe top 15 guy. But, I think the most important thing is getting to that finish line for their kennel. So I think they're going to do that, and we'll see at what pace that happens.
Right on. Right on. So I think we should move on to our next rookie, and that is Josh Robbins. Josh Robbins out of Willow, Alaska. This is his fourth year running sled dogs, and with each season, he continues to fall in love with the sport. It's been fun learning the team, strengthening our bond, their bond, and exploring new grounds. As a rookie to the Iditarod this year, his goal is to complete the race and inspire others to try new things and not be afraid of failure. What a great message. I look forward to wearing my patriotic parka to represent the veteran community and honor those who fought for this country. I'm thankful. He's thankful. I'm reading this like it's me. He's thankful for the opportunity to run the Iditarod Trail and looks forward to the challenge. That is the little bio.
Yeah. We invited him on. He's super busy. It was kind of bold of us to even reach out in February to a rookie to be out here or be on this podcast. But he's super nice, and that's what I hear from everybody that's talked about Josh. I don't know if we're doing Josh or Joshua really, but
I put him in as Josh. I put him in as Josh in the bottom, but
feels like a Josh.
If I get some flack, I can adjust it. My bad.
Totally fine. But sounds like he's a really nice guy and has like a good situation going with, he's got plenty of help, I think, but I really don't know a whole lot. But it's cool. I really appreciate what he's doing, representing the military, I had Matt Failures when I was working there yesterday. We got to take out families of fallen soldiers, and mushing has been used as a tool by a lot of those kinds of programs to help with coping and just kind of go and experience something positive. It's hard. I don't know what it would be like to serve overseas, but I know it's not easy, and shit happens, and people die, and people get injured, and sometimes people come up after having an intense experience like that. They come up to Alaska, they go on an epic mushing trip with battle dogs. Is Rick Casillo's got a thing going like that where he takes out those military families, and it sounds like Josh comes from a similar branch of or a different branch of the same tree, and just got a big old smile, and gosh, it's nice to just an unapologetic smile, dude. That's what we love. That we just got to spread the joy.
Yeah, I just did a quick look over to his website, outreach22.com, and just thought I would read this real quick. So it's Outreach 22 is a project founded by Josh Robinson. Joshua is what it says, but I'm saying Josh. I'm taking the freedom to do that.
He's
Hopefully,
already a homie. We have never met, but
I
he's a
like.
homie.
Come on.
Yeah.
Um, a veteran who served from '03 to 2014 as an infantryman and sniper squad leader. After experiencing the struggles of transitioning from war to civilian life and seeking help, Joshua was inspired to create Outreach 22 to provide emotional support and hope to other veterans with mental health struggles. However, the Outreach 22 homestead is open to all and welcomes both military and civilians to experience the adventure. So, I just thought that was kind of cool and figured I'd give a plug to the website there too. But he's got the whole tour set up where you can go and get tours, and it's all veteran kind of shifted or geared tours. So, um, right on to him. Have you seen him in any races, or have your paths crossed, or not so much?
No, not directly. Our paths haven't crossed, and I'm certain he's been in races up here. But yeah, I know very little. I hope to learn a lot, and I could continue talking about him, but it's not really coming from much. So, um, rooting for him, and really cool what he's doing up there.
Right on, right on. Well, this this next rookie, this is gonna crack you up as I prepare this for you. Our next rookie we're gonna talk about is Lauro Eckland, and Lauro has no bio at all.
Hell yeah.
What a badass, Lauro. I hope you end up watching this and hear this.
Nah, he ain't watching this shit.
Nah, dude,
He's got a
he was like, oh man, I'm gonna have to watch that when I get back. So I'll just give you guys the picture of Lauro, which doesn't give him justice. He's a good looking guy in person. I don't know. I've never seen him in person,
wait.
but
What are you saying, dude? He looks great.
yeah, it doesn't give him justice though. He looks even better in person.
Okay, good save.
There you go. There you go. See what I did there. But Shawn, we had him on. Gosh, we had him on. I think one of was at the end of last season or the beginning of this season. We had such a good time talking to him, and he also seems kind of like one. I don't. I've not met him in person, but feels like I could just walk right up to him and give him a big old hug and be like, "Yo, what's up, man?" But in terms of race experience, what can you tell me about Lauro, Shawn?
Firstly, like, let me just say this about races and the race word. It's just uh people often associate it with like racing, right? But for a lot of people in these races, it's just a way to go on an expedition with your dogs at the least cost and the safest way you could possibly do to be able to get 1,000-mile journey across Alaska and be supported with veterinarians and drop bags everywhere and a marked trail like on your own. Good luck, you know. So going and doing this thing is people often talk about, race experience, and it's like you don't need like yes, it's good to have race experience, but Lauro has that. He ran I saw him with Copper Basin this year. He's ran a bunch of races but he spent more time running dogs like in the bush up in the Arctic and Brooks Range and just camping out with his dogs, vibing, you know. He's got you can tell, and I've seen him do his checkpoint routine in the Copper Basin. He's just doesn't mess around, and that's something I love to see in a musher at a checkpoint is locked in and no nonsense. Once you get to that checkpoint, you want to get your team taken care of and bedded down. No, I'm never locked in, and I'm super slow with my drawers.
I
But
was
I
messing
take
with
the
you.
extra rest, so it's all good. But uh to see that he was just like he took a beeline to the water. Like I like saw him, and so that was just kind of you can tell he's a really jovial, like outgoing, funny guy that's easy to talk to, but he's also legit. Like he knows when it's time to buckle down. He's probably one of the hardest workers. Uh, he's just always doing stuff and making. I don't know, man. Literally spends camping, living winters in a camp and springs in a camp in the Arctic. It's -30, and he's just friggin' in a tent for like months or weeks. So he just knows like how to just deal with like almost most situations, and I think he's one of the most experienced, well-rounded rookies when it comes to just being an outdoorsman in Alaska, having done a variety of things with your dog teams, including and not limited to hunting, to doing, Arctic exploration up in the mountains of the Brooks Range, to then running these races and learning a kind of different style, mushing off trails and on trails, and living with your dogs in a modest setup, and really good at dealing with the cold. And so yeah, he's got a family history of mushing. It's in his blood. He's probably like a musher's musher, like all the other mushers. Like like a comedian's comedian. Like some comedians are like, all the other comedians are like, dude, this comedian is awesome. And I feel like that's kind of how Lauro Eckland is in the mushing community. Like, no one is like, dude, it's fucking Lauro. Like, no, that everybody sees Lauro and they're like, dude, it's Lauro, and he's just, I think, respected and enjoyable to be around, and just a friend to everybody, and but also just like legit. Like he's not just like a personality that's fun to be around. Like he's the real deal, and does like living. If you think about like what's it like to live in Alaska, like I live in Anchorage, I go to Costco, like people live in Fairbanks, and they can go get Thai food after their 50-mile mush. Like this guy has literally lived in the most like remote, insane settings, done like all the most Alaskan shit you could possibly do. So he's just respected, I think, by everybody. But yeah, that's what I gotta say. And I think he's a great dog, man. He has every sign of just being great with his dogs. So I'm really excited. He's not gonna be in the top 10. Whatever, dude. He's gonna. I hope he has a magic carpet right out there. Everyone's gonna have some difficulties getting through it in one way or another. But gosh, I just hope he has a good time out there, and his dogs crush it, and he gets to that Burled Arch.
Hell yeah, man. Yeah, no, like I said, he seems like such a nice guy just from that time we had him on, and I think he'll have quite a fan showing out there, just waiting to root him on, and yeah. So with that, don't mind Shawn while he walks away off camera for one moment.
Dude, I mean, we're gonna be doing this at this rate for
You know?
2 hours. I'm gonna probably have a bathroom break coming up here. So.
Oh man, I'm gonna have to hold it down. Um, all right. Well, I say we go to our next rookie, and that's one of your good friends, Mr. Isaac Teaford. Um, Isaac was born in Washington and grew up mostly around Salt Lake City. After traveling the world with the Navy and serving 2 deployments overseas, Isaac set out for Alaska, where he guided everything from fly-out pack rafting and backpacking trips in the bush to ice climbing and backcountry skiing. Isaac is no stranger to adversity and harsh conditions. His love for dog mushing brought him to Dallas Evies Kennel in Talkeetna, where he now calls home. After finishing several mid-distance races, the Iditarod 200, the Canuck 200, and the Willow 300, Dallas decided it was time to see what Isaac could do with a competitive team in the Yukon Quest 300 last year. His second place finish only further fueled his Iditarod fire. Isaac has trained at Dallas CV Racing Kennel for 5 years and has raised the dogs in harness before him since puppies. Little
Dude,
love.
firstly, when we're writing like our write ups for like these episodes, and
Yeah.
they're like Sean and Brennan talk about this and that. And it's kind of funny because like me or you wrote it, and we're talking about each other in third person. And then I read like Isaac's thing, and he's like, his love for dogs was propelled by a heroic attempt to become the most Alaskan man on planet Earth. And like, dude, Isaac, you wrote this, right? You didn't like. What do you think? You got like a guy to write this for you? Anyways, uh, I just thought, but like it's a cool story, man. He's been grinding for 5 years. I got to be his coworker and for a couple years, year and a half, and yeah, he's a brother, his brother to me, just like you are, except for we have different moms and dads.
Yes, yes, that is correct. Good call on that one,
Yeah,
Sean.
but yeah, yeah. But yeah, man, he's got a badass dog team. He's worked with them for their whole lives. Shout out to Letty and Elliot for who were part of these dogs' lives as well early on, and he's man, he's had a really tough year of training. He's had like a lot of really difficult experiences, which is kind of healthy to have those experiences mushing. Like if you haven't run into a completely fucked situation before the Iditarod and handled it as best that you can and with as much composure as you can, then you might not quite be ready. And maybe you are. Maybe you are ready. Maybe you do handle the one of those situations well. But he's had a lot of those situations, and I swear to God, I don't know if he's an unlucky guy, but a lot of moose encounters. He had the snow machine thing happen, and they're all like kind of bad luck. And he's like, honestly, I've just been lucky out there and not had mooses. And moose is the plural of moose. By the way, I messed that up.
I was gonna
I've
say,
not had moose attack my team.
I was gonna call you out, but
I've not had moose attack my team. I've not had snow machines attack my team. He's had multiple of those had to deal with. He's ran the Connect 200 when there was just dozens of downed trees. He, is second place in the Quest, and, to grinding at Dallas's for 5 years is not an easy task. And, Dallas is demanding, that's what it takes to win the Iditarod 5 times is to show up every day, put a good effort in, and to do that for 5 straight years. This is like such a huge moment for Isaac, getting to the Iditarod start line. And dude, I mean, this guy's ready. I don't know, man. I think he just put in so many hours in the last 5 years. I know it's not like his kennel or whatever, but like I don't know, man. I think you could see him. You could see him doing a potential Roy.
oh yeah, you're going there with it.
I don't know. I think he's one of the one of 3 mushers that I'm thinking is a potential Roy, and maybe Will Rhodes could be. I don't know. I don't know him. I don't know. I haven't seen him. I know that he's a badass musher, and I know that other people know him. I'm not like I don't know everybody. I want to, and I will hopefully, but maybe Will does something special. Maybe I'm totally underselling that, but yeah, I think Isaac's got a great team. He's trained them their whole lives. Obviously there's been other people involved too, but God, I got a feeling.
You got a feeling. Well, uh, like you just said, man, he's worked hard for Dallas for a while. It is a grind. You can kind of speak to that. Having worked for Jeff and for Dallas. When you're working with with someone who the expectation is to win the Iditarod year in and year out. It's not easy, and I'm sure he's handled it with class, and I feel like him and Dallas probably have a good rapport, and I'm sure whenever it is that Isaac decides that he wants to kind of do his own thing or maybe depart from the mushing world, it'll be a pretty big void. I feel like for Dallas. I'm sure he'll find someone to replace, but
Yeah,
you know
absolutely.
the short amount of time that when I did go to Alaska, I've met Isaac. Um, he's cut from a different cloth, and you know I think that the difficult circumstances that he's been up against with moose encounters and the accident on the highway and such, I think it just hardens him even that more. And um, I guess my one question I have for you. So he's got his dogs are now like 4 and 5 years old. Is that what it
He's
is?
got actually some 2-year-olds and some really, really, really good 2-year-olds uh, that Dallas CV Kennel is excited about, and they're not all 2-year-olds, but he's got a good chunk of this 2-year-old class, and then some 3-year-olds as well. But I'm not sure on the total layout of the team, but he does have a younger team, but it's like a really hardy, young, experienced team that has gotten some quality. I know that they're not super experienced; they're two, but I don't know. He's the way he's talking about it. Maybe shit's gonna happen out there, dude. It's not gonna go as he plans. So maybe he just has to kind of ease off a little bit and ends up finishing in the back, and that's would be so sick still. Like obviously if he doesn't, I just want to say that like yes, it'd be cool to see him finish top 20, but dude, if he finishes 37th, like hell yeah, dude.
Right on.
Uh, you know. And but I think that'll mean that something happened. They got a stomach bug, the weather took a turn for the worse, or you thought the trail was punchy and had to drop a lot of dogs. I don't know what, but I think another adversity that he handled this year was those 300 plus. I don't know, as at least 200, maybe 300-mile series that he did. Like during that one cold snap that we had, that was just insane, dude. It was like friggin' a week long or 2 weeks long, and it was like 50 or 60 below, where he was taking this team like for 3 straight nights, and he was like out there every night. So they know how to deal with the cold. Hopefully, we'll see if they can deal with the warm well. But it's also been warm in Talkeetna too, where the kennel is. And but like, I'm just really impressed. Like, you know, I'm really impressed that I don't know, but he's a homie, and I've probably stopped talking about him because he's just a friend, and I talk about my friends more than I talk about people that I don't know. But I just spent a lot of hours with Isaac, so I'm stoked on him, and I'm glad we get to talk about him a little bit. And I talked to him last night, and he's gonna crush the Iditarod and go Team Isaac. I'll see him out there. Thank you.
Let's go, baby. I love it. Well, let's go. I want to transition from one of your potential rookie of the year candidates to one of my potential rookie of the year candidates, and that's Josie Thyr, not Thyr, like I learned when we had her on, but Josie Thyr. She's a rookie for this race, but she's been in the dog mushing scene for 20 years now. So she's been literally. It's impressive to me that at I think she just turned 30, and she's got that much experience. The bio on her says that she started racing sled dogs in Idaho as a kid, but always dreamed of doing the Iditarod. As a teenager, I came up to Alaska and handled for Aaron Burmeister, then began working on qualifiers. Eventually, I handled for Jesse Royer in Montana and completed my qualifiers. In the spring of 2023, I moved to Fairbanks, and I'm very excited to be on my way to completing a 20-year dream. So, she's she talked to us a little bit about working with Jesse Royer and how she's been really like kind of an asset for her to kind of help her get this dream off the ground. And the thing that just stood out to me is like she just has like such a such a veteran perspective on things. And, she's relatively new to the Alaska mushing scene. But yeah, I was impressed. If you guys haven't listened to that episode, I encourage you to go seek it out and listen to it because it's a great listen, and I think that you'll further understand why I feel the way I do about it. It's not just me saying, "Oh, I think she's gonna win," or "She is the potential to win it." When you hear her in the way she talks, you're gonna be like, "Yeah, she's a badass." So that's my thoughts on Josie. Shawn, that's one that I can actually give a little bit of some thoughts on. But Shawn, what do you have anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, she's definitely. I think she's super humble about like her goals and like what she's trying to do, but it's almost even adds to fuel to the fire for her being rookie of the year candidate because she's not like I'm gonna finish top 10. She's like, oh, and that's how she got 7th place in the Copper Basin with a competitive field, and how she got 3rd place in the Quest. And she came in with that same attitude of like, I'm gonna just mush this team as best I can and as quickly as I can without but she never has like really overreached in those races, and it seems, and she's really good at executing just a solid race schedule, and has a ton of experience too. So, and her team is just like on fire this year, and I mean, look at these guys. Wow, what a cool video.
I know, right?
Yeah, and I'm just high expectations for sure, and really,
Man, look at
I'm
this
just rooting for
video,
everybody. I
man.
think, man.
Maybe it's just the camera, but it
Like,
looks it
looks
looks
like there's no trail, but maybe there is that we can't see. But it looks kind of like the team is winding around back and forth, kind of navigating a little bit. But I don't know where that is. I thought it was going to be that Denali Highway video she shared recently, but that didn't really look like that. But anyways, yeah, she's just ready, more than ready, and 30. She's 30, dude. I've got a lot of people my age ish in this race. The last 2 mushers being some of them, Connor McMahon, Lauro Eckland. It's cool to see like Travis Beals. These guys are like right around our age, and it's kind of fun. Like, I showed up to the Mushing Machine, and it was kind of like the end of the Jeff King and Lance Mackey and that era, Martin Boozer, and it's fun to see these guys, that are taking up the race nowadays. I don't know. It's kind of cool.
right on. Let's keep things rolling on this rookie train. Next
Keep
up,
it rolling, baby.
yeah. Next up, we got Gabe Dunham. She's another guest we had on the podcast, and she is a rookie, but this is her second attempt. She ran it in 20. She got all the way to Talkeetna, and unfortunately, she talks about it in our episode. Her dogs were just
Talkeetna?
no, I meant to say Unalakleet. My bad. Good call. Good catch. I was thinking Unalakleet, but what came out of the couch musher's mouth was Talkeetna. That's why you're here, dude. Hopefully the mushers that we have on while you're not on are gonna call me out, because if they don't call me out, then I'm just gonna look like a complete idiot. But yeah, she made it to Unalakleet, and yeah, you're right. It is too late. And unfortunately, her dogs had like a pretty bad bug, and I haven't listened to that episode because it's been a little while, but she does talk about that in the episode. But she was born and raised in Fairbanks and moved to Valdez, where she discovered her passion for outdoor adventures and animals. She started running sled dogs when she was 16 and ran her first race when she was 18. And that was the Denali Dash 120 with only 5 dogs. She moved to Willow, where she worked for Linwood Fiedler, and Alaska Helly Mush, who mentored and taught her the best dog care and successful training techniques. In 2011, she moved to Bend, Oregon, where she completed a degree in fish and wildlife management at OSU. She had a small team of dogs and would enter every race that she could get to, from the Bachelor Butte. Bachelor Butte? Is that how you say that? Bachelor Butte?
Sounds right.
To Wyoming stage stop. She moved to Montana while running her sled dog tour business, Evermore Adventures, in 2018. This just drove her passion for mushing even more. In 2019, she became the first woman to finish the Rocky Mountain Triple Crown, taking second place. In 2020, she set a course record in the Eagle Cap Extreme 200 and took second place in Race to the Sky 300. Today, she has 26 wonderful Alaskan Huskies that love to go on adventures. They're all looking forward to running down the Iditarod Trail. That is a little bit on Gabe Dunham.
Gabe Dunham is tough, dude. She's run all the most of the big races up here, and has been super competitive in the lower 48 races. She grew up here and grew up, and she was saying, dude, on the podcast, what was she saying, dude? She grew up in Valdosta, and they just like run up the mountains just for fun, and those mountains are freaking huge, like they're massive. And they just be like, yeah, let's go play tag, go to the top of the peak, and get back down with her brothers. And it's like you grow up being 9 years old, just like winging your way up a 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 foot mountain. It's like, kidding me? So she's tough. She's great with her dogs. She she was really has been a friend to me when we were out on the trail. I think I'm not the only musher, but I am very sensitive and emotional when I get out there and get sleep deprived. And I think like the slightest thing is going wrong with your dogs, and you're like, oh, my whole race is unraveling. And you just kind of have like those thoughts creeping in a lot of the time, just when your team kind of loses its steam for a run. And we were going 9 miles an hour, and now we're going 7. And so we had our 24-hour break together in Takatna, and I was like, so and so's not eating, and I think that there's something going on with so and so's, like, back leg or whatever. And she was just like super calming. She just got a very calm demeanor, and little did I know, she was having issues with her team, and maybe the early signs of that sickness that ended her race, and was like just very calm and composed about it. And when I saw her at the end of the Kinnick, I believe it was the Kinnick 200, he's like, I know you haven't slept like but a couple hours. And it's like, it wasn't like it was a really tough Kinnick 200 this year. We're like having a burger next to each other, and she's just like totally talking to me like a normal person. And I'm like, how are you not like delirious right now? And it's just like, that's what I mean by tough. She's just not, she's tough, and she's really cool and a good person. And I would put a lot of money on her getting to that finish line this year.
Yeah, we're definitely rooting her on. You know, she made a decision that was in the best interest of her dogs during that race, and you know, the idea of a withdrawal or a scratch or whatever is can be a tough pill to swallow. But in a situation like that, you make the best decision, and I think you can move forward knowing that you did the right thing. So, kudos to her for being, putting the dog's care first. And, sometimes you can shake a bug and sometimes you can't. And, if you're getting a Uniloclete, you're, 700 miles in. And,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm sure she was fighting it for quite a while. So, yeah.
God, the thing that gets brushed over a lot when you have these like returning uh, mushers, especially the ones that didn't finish, and they come back 4 years later. I mean, like that's a long time to sit with a scratch. When I scratched, I was like just panicking. Like I can't live with myself. Like I just need to go and get out on the trail immediately. And like I think there's something to be said for just being like, all right, let's take a step back. Like, what are we doing here? Like, what's the setup? How's finances looking? What is our plan? She's got a great setup now. In, the I think it's in the Willow area. Linwood and her having had that history, I think he's been able to provide some opportunities for her, and she's earned them. And 4 years later, here we are, and she's gonna kick some ass.
Hell yeah, man. Right on. Um, so let's
She
see,
also has golden retriever puppies. Sorry, I had to
dude.
say that.
She does, and they look.
But I think they got adopted, but she still has a golden retriever too. And I heard that she took a couple of the golden retrievers to the vet checks.
I'm sure she did.
Because like you can get 24 dogs checked, and some people don't have 24 dogs to get checked, or you got to. And she's like, "Oh, let me check these guys. I paid $4,000 on. Maybe they'll run the. So that's kind of cool. Uh,
Hilarious. Right on.
Party seeing retrievers mixed in with the huskies. Okay, all right, moving on. We
All
got
right.
like
Yeah.
25 more mushers to go.
Well, we're not going to do everyone. I just want to at least get all the rookies, and then if there's any one that you want, like we can go over that. I do want to kind of just talk
Yeah.
about also like our predictions, and then the last thing I want to also mention is fantasy mushing. Just pull that up and show it to you all. So we have a couple more rookies left, and then we can kind of wrap up. We're not going to go into, like I said, into detail on every single musher, but some of these mushers that you guys don't know much about, if Shawn's able to kind of fill in some of the gaps in addition to what we see here with the bios, that's what we're trying to do here. So next up, we've got Anna Hennessy. Anna Hennessy is coming to us from Willow, Alaska. She was born a winter lover. First stepped on the runners of a dog sled on a blustery lake in northern Minnesota and knew that her life was forever changed. She began working with sled dogs in both Minnesota and Alaska by guiding dog sled trips and sharing her passion for mushing with others. From 2018 to 2021, she raced and trained with Sawtooth Racing, a kennel owned by good friends in Grand Marais, Minnesota. Always dreaming about someday running the Iditarod, Anna decided to make the dream a reality and moved to Alaska in 2022 to race and train dogs for Iditarod with Shameless Huskies Kennel. Anna completed her Iditarod qualifying race in 2023. When not training and racing dogs, Anna works as an ER nurse and wilderness guide, leading expeditions for teens and fostering the adventurous spirit, resilience, and self-empowerment for other young women that she herself learned from years of outdoor pursuits. Welcome, Anna Hennessy. Shawn, thoughts? Anything to add there?
She's got experienced dogs. They've seen the Iditarod Trail with Matt Pavelio, and I think she's proven to be she's qualified for the race. I saw her at the Knik and at the Copper Basin. Her dogs ran the Copper Basin with her partner, and they did really well. So they've got some really good training on some really good trails, tough trails, some tough experiences. So I think her dog team is not only done really good training this specific winter, but also has that cumulative experience from the last couple years. And I think she's ready and gonna do well. And maybe I'm saying that about everybody, but that's how it feels, man. All these guys are ready. And
We're also not going to sit here and be like, yeah, that person's really bad and they're not going to do well.
yeah, she's totally the worst musher ever. No,
Totally in over her head. Doesn't.
No,
No, I'm kidding, man.
and over there at Shameless, yeah, Kathleen Frederick's a big part of it. She owns the dogs and the property, and it's her whole setup. But I think there's also probably a lot of Anna and I can't remember her partner's name, but they are Emily. Yeah, it's Emily. Yeah, and I got Cody, my he's like Jamie on Joe Rogan. Jamie, pull that up.
You got me.
But they are out there with the dogs every day. They're probably a little bit of a hands-off situation with Kathleen, where they're kind of in charge of um, most of the training, and Kathleen was there helping at the races, and she does what she can. But they're kind of responsible and making a lot of those micro decisions at the kennel that might otherwise, in a place like Dallas's or a place like these bigger kennels, you might be asking the boss, hey, like, what do you, like, how do we think we should do training this next couple of weeks? Whereas they might be maybe getting some beta from Kathleen, but also probably kind of writing their own kind of schedule, I would think. I don't know. Maybe Kathleen listens to this and is like, nah, dude, it's my ship. I run that shit. I
Actually,
don't
we're
know.
we're getting a chat from her right now.
I'm pretty sure.
I'm
I'm
kidding.
pretty sure that they kind of got their own training kind of program going there, and I think making those decisions and those calls uh, is really kind of puts you in the right mental headspace to go out here and run the Iditarod, because you're constantly thinking about how should we break up the next couple runs, and what we got this schedule and that schedule, but they've been doing that all winter. So great dogs, great musher, great support system. I'm calling. Dude, what if all the rookies finish? I don't know about the lower 48 guys. They're gonna finish, but I don't know them at all. I feel really good about the Alaska rookies, and I think that I'm rooting for those guys from down south. I just don't know. Literally, I don't know them. So I'm really hoping that all those rookies get to that finish line.
Heck yeah, man. Speaking of which, another rookie that we're hoping gets to the finish line, that's Shawn Williams. And, he's had some unfortunate luck. This is his third attempt. And Sean, you can probably elaborate a little on his story. His bio is another one sentencer. So
We love that.
we gotta love that, baby. But he began mushing in '06, and his racing experience includes the Yukon Quest 300, the Copper Basin 300, the Willow 300, the Iditarod, and various shorter races. Thank you for that, Sean.
He, firstly, I've never met. I met him with a beard briefly, but then we hung out a bunch at the Copper Basin, and he didn't have a beard. And like, I look at this photo with a beard, and I'm like, dude, that's definitely not Sean. But I think it is. But I don't buy it.
I don't know.
But it's just like unrecognizable to me because I hung out with him without the beard. But maybe he has a beard now. I don't know. Anyways, enough about beards. Sean is a super experienced musher, dude. 2006. That's 18 years of mushing. He ran the Copper Basin in 2009, and he ran it this year as well. And I think this guy is, I mean, clearly is the most experienced rookie if you consider his Iditarod trail experience. I think you could argue that someone like Ben Good or Will Rhodes are also like really experienced rookies. But I don't consider this his third attempt. His first attempt, he had a really tragic family emergency between the ceremonial and the restart, and he literally didn't even leave the start. So he did it one time, and it was last year, and he went all the way to the coast to a similar area where a little bit before where I scratched, Topcock Hills, and had some like crazy winds. This is the highlight of the story. He told me the whole story in detail. I wish I wish we would have pressed record and heard it. It was literally, he told me the story for like an hour and a half. It was so cool. And the biggest takeaway was that he had those gloves, his gloves on. And this is how strong the wind was. He had the gloves on, and the wind was blowing so powerfully, it like got into his glove. The heat locks for my mushers, those are the black and yellow gloves, and it just ripped the glove right off of his hand as he was wearing it. Right. So, you take anything out of this is literally, you couldn't hear anything. Imagine the most deafening, wind you could ever, you literally, yeah, the dogs kind of just bedded down. They know how to protect themselves in that, and he kind of went into survival mode. It was literally survive, live. And that he was one of 6 mushers that were out there, and they all really had a hell of a time. And yeah, I asked him, I was like, dude, like, real bummer, I've been there, whatever. And he was like, dude, I have 0 regrets about that. I literally could not do anything. There was like 0. There was no situation in which you were like, well, actually, if I look, could have done this. No, you were like in these winds that I don't want to put a number on the like how fast those winds must have been, but like certainly over 60 and maybe 100. Like, he was inside of his sled just like and waiting, just waiting, hoping it dies down. So
Absolutely crazy,
this
dude.
guy has been through the ringer. He's got his own kennel now, and he had his own kennel then, I think. Right?
I want to say, I
And
thought. Go ahead.
go ahead.
I thought he was running with Matt Paveglio in the same.
Well, Matt's his helper. Matt got to run Copper Basin with Shawn's dogs, and then he's leasing a couple dogs. He bought a couple dogs from Richie's 3rd place team. He's got some really talented dogs. It's kind of funny. He had this really good lead dog, really, really, really good lead dog that he put up there. He didn't know was a good lead dog until Copper Basin this year, and super shy dog. So the reality is, guys, you want to have a bunch of friendly dogs, and sometimes the dogs are just shy. It happens. And this dog loves to run. Was by far the fastest lead dog he had on his team, just crushing this final run in a really tough Copper Basin where he went checkpoint to checkpoint and did pretty much minimum rest. And this dog did really well. And they're like, all right, get a picture with your dogs. And the dogs just kind of like stood, 3 feet away. And he'd like go to pet it, and he'd be like, yo, like, don't touch me, please. And then, he just had this funny photo of like one dog that was like, oh yeah, I love cuddles. And the other dog, he was like, I mean, we got a great thing going on, but he's just kind of shy. But so he just kind of like put his finger, he just kind of did this, like, I touched that was the photo, and with his dog, because he wouldn't really let him pet him. And that's, he's building that trust. Maybe by now, maybe they're homies. And I mean, there are homies, but maybe he's getting to pet the dog a little bit more. And obviously he's bootying the dog, and he's caring for the dog and feeding the dog and putting straw down for the dog and scooping poop out of the dog. Right. So it's like, not obviously they have a connection. I've talked too much about that. Anyways, he's got good team, good training, good skill set, and I think I speak for literally every Mushing fan on planet Earth. We want to see Shawn Williams get to that Burled Arch more than anything. So I think I would bet. I'm betting. Anyone want to bet? I'll bet $100, $200. I'll bet 300. Okay,
300?
5,000.
500? 5,000? Whoa. What
No,
just
I'm
happened?
kidding. All right,
Okay,
so
all
that
right.
escalated quickly.
All right.
I would bet a lot of money that this guy's finishing.
Right on. Yeah, he's a great story to watch as the race unfolds. So, we will be looking forward to rooting him on. And so, next up on the list of rookies, we have just a few more. Is Severin Cathry. It's old Sevy, as Shawn says. Um, so he is from Switzerland, and his bio is the outdoors and animals were always mine. As a young kid already, I worked all summer long and much of my free time on a dairy farm. After two classmates of mine moved to Canada with their families, I knew I wanted to see Alaska and Canada. 2010 was finally the summer I came the first time to Alaska and got in touch with the real sled dog team, and I've been hooked ever since. I love that right up. I love it. Shawn, talk to me about Sevi.
Yeah, I was a handler for the 2018 Yukon Quest. He was running dogs for Alations. Got to the halfway point, had to scratch, and he, it's complicated with the visa. He's lives in Europe. It's hard to stay in Alaska for very long. So he stayed long enough to spend the winter here, and then didn't pan out as far as his race results, and not getting to finish that Yukon Quest 1000. But now, literally 6 years later, talk about Gabe coming back 4 years later. He's coming back 6 years later after his attempt at a 1,000-mile event. This time he's going for the Iditarod. He's got, I think Alations has, good sled dogs. He's finished the Iditarod, but I'm here to tell you, Travis Beals has faster, probably better dogs. That's just that's just how it is. And Seby's running Travis's dogs, and I'm really excited to see what he can do. Al, I don't, Al's a good friend of mine. He had a more recreational Iditarod team that is able to still finish the race, but maybe just not on that competitive level. And Travis, so he's taking Travis's team. He's getting to build up Travis's team for the future by taking his maybe slightly less experienced dogs. Some of those dogs that just missed the cut on his team, but he's been training some of those younger dogs all winter long, and he is a really, really nice guy, super funny, and I hope we can get some footage of him out there on the trail and get some interviews with him because I really like what he has to say, and yeah, Team Sevy all the way, and he's representing Turning Heads Kennel there with Travis.
LFG, turning heads. Let's go, Sevi. So let's move on to another rookie musher, and this is one that you mentioned earlier as a potential rookie of the year candidate, and that's Ben Good. And the bio there, he's based out. This guy is essentially Santa, man. He's literally living in the North Pole, is what his hometown is. He's originally from Pennsylvania. In 2002, he married his wife and moved to Anchorage, Alaska for a 2-year adventure. And the 2-year adventure in this bio is in quotes. I love that. 21 years later, we are still here raising a family and living the Alaska dream. He started mushing dogs and moved to the North Pole ski joring with 2 dogs from Aaron Burmeister on the Chena River. I know you're gonna make fun of me for that one.
You did good, Chena.
I fixed it. His feet got so cold. I got a couple more dogs. My feet got cold, so I got a couple more dogs and sled and took it off from there. I want to thank my wife for her bottomless well of support in this mushing lifestyle, and thank my kids, Will, Julia, and Iris, for their support. Shout out to Ben, man. He's a good family man. I was following some of his pictures on Facebook or Instagram, and he's like almost always he's putting up pictures with the family. So he seems like a family man. But tell me what you know about Ben.
Mid-distance specialist, like Brendan Mackey and Will Rhodes are, like Jacob Whitcop. These guys are really good at those 200 and 300-mile races, and look, you do those races long enough and you get that itch. You're like, what if there's something bigger? What if there's something longer? you go around the Iditarod, so I'm excited for Ben. I don't know. I can't particularly recall like a super competitive finish in the last 3 years or 4 years. He won a race that I was in. I believe it was the Quest 300 in 2020. That was 4 years ago, right? And since then, I've seen him in some races, and he's done pretty well. I don't know if how his training has gone. I don't know off the top of the dome if he's been in races this year. Certainly didn't see him in like the big. I don't think he wasn't in Kinnick, wasn't in Cusco, wasn't in Quest. Um, but there's he might have been in the Two Rivers. I'm not sure. So I'm excited to see like he's just kind of been quietly training dogs, and he's just post pictures of his family visiting like Florida or whatever, and like he's like it's kind of cool. Like he's not like the rest of us where we mush dogs and then we take the dog and we're like it's Alaska. It's the mushing lifestyle. He's just like, yeah, he like posts a photo of him and his family. Like, yeah, we just went to see Avengers 3. And then he like goes home and he goes and trains his dog. It's kind of funny. So they're not watching Avengers. They're probably like doing something way more productive with their time, but you get the idea. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what I know. He has a great resume, great musher, great, super experienced, probably great dogs. Like I just not. I'm curious to see if he's like looking to turn up the volume a little bit out there, if he's just kind of trying to get around the track. So he's someone that's like a dark horse rookie of the year that may completely correct me when I say that and just completely like crush every other rookie. That could happen. But Josie Thyr and Isaac, they're got some amazing dog teams. Ben's definitely got a great dog team and is a great dog man. And I'm just excited to see what he does breaking through into the 1,000-mile circuit.
Hell yeah, man. Yeah, and that's kind of what I was talking about being a family man. Like, I don't ever hardly see him put a picture up where it's just him and it's related to only mushing. It's usually pictures with him and his family and doing stuff that isn't related to mushing. So it'll be interesting for sure to see what happens there. But we've got three more rookies, and then we can kind of move on to wrapping things up a little bit. A lot
of rookies.
I know, and I feel like this is a good thing. I didn't look at it. It makes me want to go back and look in the past years, but having 14 rookies, that's a hell of a class.
14?
14 rookies, man.
Damn.
Yeah. Yep.
Damn.
So with that, our next rookie is Jeff Reed. He's out of Two Rivers, Alaska, and this is his bio. A few months before leaving the Navy, his beloved dog Frank, that he rescued in Afghanistan, tragically passed away in a car accident. Losing Frank was incredibly difficult, and it felt like he would never connect with a dog in the same way again. However, reading Gary Paulson's book, Winter Dance, which I'm going to say I've read that book, man. I haven't read a lot of books, but I went through a Gary Paulson phase when I was younger.
I read a book once.
This book centers on the Iditarod, and it sparked an idea, perhaps, that he could find that special bond with a team of sled dogs while running this challenging race. His wife and him decided to turn this dream into reality. They moved to Alaska in 2017, where he learned the art of dog mushing from Ali Zirkle and Alan Moore while handling for SP Kennel. After that first season, his wife and him acquired dogs from SP Kennel and purchased property along with 6 dogs from Sebastien Schnoll, giving birth to Frozen Trident Kennel. Over the next few years, they've expanded their kennel alongside growing their family, juggling puppies and babies. They diligently worked toward qualifying for the Iditarod, and last year they completed their final 300 qualifying race, bringing them one step closer to running the Iditarod. So
dude.
that is a little bit on Mr. Jeff Reed.
Yeah, we'll have him on the show after the race, hopefully, and yeah, he's firstly, I love the dog that's named Frank. I've met a dog named Frank. It's the best. It's objectively the best dog name.
Frank
Just
is?
the Frank. Yeah, dude. Imagine it's like, hey, Frank, Frank. Just a fun. It's like Frank's always the troublemaker, is how I envision it. But my condolences to Jeff Reed's Frank, and cool that he is getting back out there on the trail. Or sorry, that he's getting out on this Iditarod trail. He's got a really good Instagram follow, and he's super like somewhat vulnerable out there on kind of talked his way through some of the hardships and some of the lows of the winter, especially with that cold snap and kind of right before you're getting ready. And yeah, he's got actually, I think he's got like freaking like 40,000 followers or something crazy on his on Instagram.
Just a cool 65,000. No biggie.
Yeah, yeah. So he's I've never met him. But it seems like he's got a really cool thing going with his wife, and he had kids, right? Is that what we?
Yep.
We
That's what we were talking
yeah,
about.
I love a family kennel, dude. Big fan. I'm a family man, dude. Says the guy who lives alone in a house by himself. But look, I'm a family man. I love the families, and I love that he's got a family kennel. And I don't know, man. I've never seen him like out on the trail. You know, I just assume that if you live in Fairbanks or Two Rivers, and you are learn from Alan Moore and Ali Zirkle. Those are some incredible dog people. He's got those same genetics in his team. He knows how to deal with the cold. Hopefully, he knows how to deal with the warm. Got a sweet goatee. I mean, what's there not to love?
The facial hair is strong with Jeff Reed. Let me tell you that. Let me tell you that right now.
Running, and then you could be kind of like Jeff Reed's #1 fan.
Something like that. I mean, it's impressive, and he's got that thick action going that I wish I had. I don't quite have it.
God, we are just so weird. We're so weird, dude. Firstly, I don't know. I'm sure talk about like jokes you kind of want to make, but you shouldn't make. But like Jeff Reed, it's like if you said like if Jeffrey was a verb, and you're like, yeah, you just got Jeff Reed. You know what I mean? That's what I think of. Okay, let's check out that video. That was a cool video. Wait,
okay, go back. There you go.
Check it out. Look at this, dude. That's going over glare ice. There's that. No, that's not glare ice. That's overflow. Dogs are killing it.
A little slow-mo into a regular speed.
Dude.
Gotta love it.
I'm really excited.
Dude, yeah, if y'all aren't following his Instagram is Frozen Trident.
He needs a few more followers. Hey, Jeff, could you throw
us a bone?
Maybe throw us 2,000 followers, maybe. We got 600 or 500. But we're doing good. We're here. Who else is here? Oh, no one. Okay.
All right, sir. Let's go over to Lara Ketton. She's one of the last two to follow up here, finish up with. So yeah, Lara is out of Washington, born and raised in the PNW, Pacific Northwest, and spent most of my adolescent years exploring my hometown mountains around Battleground, Washington. Hiking and swimming were integral parts of growing up, and that all contributed to a desire to find a big adventure. My dad's stories of Alaska were embedded in my mind since I was a young girl. So right after graduating high school, I boarded a plane destined for the last frontier. My first experience with sled dogs was at Mitch Seavey's kennel as the yearling trainer. The crazy, goofy yearlings and I learned right along as they grew up. Fast forward a few years, a few qualifying races, and the opportunity to run the Iditarod has arrived. It is a dream come true to explore the Iditarod Trail with pups I've known since they were little tater tots. Writing my novel and wood burning are my indoor hobbies when I'm not mushing out on the trail. And that is Lara Kettleson. Shawn, are you familiar with her?
Yes. That's crazy, dude. To graduate high school and be like, I'm just gonna go up to Alaska and totally crush it. I met her, I believe, when she was 18 or 19, maybe, and she had just started working at Mitch's, and I went to Mitch's with Dallas to just go and bring some dogs and train over there. And yeah, she's like, you see the picture of her, and you think, oh, she's like just so sweet, and she is, but like, don't let that fool you, dude. She's accomplished a lot, and I watched her team in the Copper Basin when I saw like some teams really going real slow, and her and Sadie, who are like, Sadie Lindquist is also working there, and so she's gotten maybe almost qualified for the Iditarod, and they ran that race together, and those teams looked unbelievable. They also gave him like a bunch of extra rest. Turns out you do that, and you can still beat a lot of teams that took the minimum rest because you're going way faster. So it was cool to see that, and yeah, I mean, every time I see her, she got a smile on her face, and I don't know, it's kind of crazy. Like, yeah, you see her, you're like, oh, she kind of looks a little bit younger, and but she's earned this. She's been doing this for 3 years. Okay, maybe 3 years isn't that much to some people or whatever, but like every single day in the dog yard all year long with this group of dogs, learning from some guy named Mitch Seavey, who's like maybe knows a thing or two, and worked together with Gerhardt T-Art to those 2 years that he ran and scratched one year and then finished the next year. So she was a big part of that. So, she's got this. She's been around the Iditarod. She's been around all these mid-distance races in Alaska, working with dogs in the thick of it. And I, I mean, I've seen her go on these really tough runs and really long, tough runs, and come out just kind of like, all right, like, we'll continue on. It's I'm impressed. I always expect, like, you go and see someone after a really tough run and they're kind of down or whatever, and she's just like, on to the next. So
Nice.
I'm impressed what I've seen from her.
Right on. Yeah, no, I know we attempted to reach out to her and get her on. So maybe after the race is over, we'll get a chance to follow up with her and catch up and see how the experience was for her. Our last
Yeah, if
rookie.
she likes to write novels, she'll have a good novel to
Yes,
write after this.
that's true. Our last rookie is none other than Calvin Daugherty, and he is he loves the sport of mushing. It's all about the dogs for him. He's wanted to do that Iditarod ever since he first read about it as a kid, but he watched his dad leave the start line on his first Iditarod. The dream of racing one day solidified in his mind. He's thankful to all the mentors that have helped him get there today, including his dad, Jim Lanier, Becky Lewis, Gerhardt Thiart, Kristen Turner, and of course, the great and powerful Mitch Seavey.
Great and powerful.
Yeah, right?
Joe Rogan reference. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But dude, yeah, I met Calvin at Copper Basin. He had like a really, really good race with the A team, and I'm more curious if he's going to take the A team again in this race. So he may end up having a really talented dog team that that even if he makes like a couple rookie mistakes, might be able to get away with it because if he has that team, I'm thinking that he might have. Because yeah, Calvin and Lara are both running out of that kennel, and I think Calvin might have that A team. I'm not sure but if he does, dark horse rookie of the year. But I think he's not super experienced. I think, but he does seem to have some toughness. And I don't know if did I go black?
Whoops. My bad. My bad.
But yeah, he does. He's clearly proven to have some toughness. He's clearly proven, to go have that successful of a Copper Basin back-to-back years. That's a tough race. And look, I think it's easy to look at him and be like, yeah, he's the son of Larry who ran the Iditarod. He just kind of got in, ran a year, qualified, and now he's going to go and run the Iditarod. But I don't know. I think some people got it and some people don't. He might have it. But he's proven that he has it thus far, and why not? Like, dude, why not? I mean, maybe we'll see him do something special. I'm curious to see like what those first like 3 days look like for him, if he's kind of trying to be up front or if he's trying to be conservative or not. So I'm not really sure what his strategy is as far as that goes, but I know the strategy involves finishing. Okay.
Hey now. That's what we're talking about. Awesome, man. Well, we've made it through the rookies, and I think that we'll just kind of stick to this rookie breakdown of the rookies for the race. As we continue to have our guests on during the Iditarod itself, we can kind of break down some of the other racers along the way. We'll have plenty of chance to talk about as many of these people as we can. So I will follow up with you. I'm looking at the list of the rookie of the years. You mentioned Isaac. I talked about Josie.
I talked about it too.
Yeah, you can claim that too. And then Ben. Are those like the three? Are those the three that you're putting at as the best? Your favorites for rookie of the year? Will Rhodes.
I think Will's in the conversation as much as Ben is.
Got you.
And I might as well just list all the 14 if I keep adding to that list. But yeah, Calvin, if I don't know certainly, but I'm betting the usual that he's taken out the All-Star Mitch team. And those are some really tough, experienced dogs. So that's all I'm saying. You could just whatever you want to take from that, take it.
Right on. And then I guess is there just anything else that you want to mention? You're going to be out on the trail where we might try to see if we can get you on with an audio with a phone call or something, but no guarantees. But is there anything that you wanted to just mention, before we send you off and you do your thing with the insider?
I would say tune in tomorrow and watch that ceremonial start. It's really exciting and fun to see. And of course, again, on the restart on Sunday. This is a big weekend here in Alaska and in Anchorage. And it's like sunny. It's so nice. It's just so cool. It's such a cool experience. It's going to be hectic this weekend. And, so many amazing people and dogs all coming together and to celebrate, this amazing event, this amazing culture in Alaska of sled dogs and that have been a part of the Alaskan history long before PETA was ever invented. People for the ethical treatment of animals, long before that, talking 10 to 12,000 years, people have been mushing Up here in Alaska, it's been a way to get the best way to get around. So their engines don't break down. You don't need to do oil changes. You know, if you're a good dog man or dog woman, this is the best way to get around Alaska. It's the funnest way to get around Alaska. That's just my opinion. And there, I was spent the last 2 days in a dog yard, and I've spent the last 2 years mostly not in a dog yard. And God, I mean, they're just so happy. It's the happiest dogs you will ever meet. And it's just a profound happiness. It's not like, oh, it's like my owner. They're here in their home and I can't wait. Like you just go up and they're just like they're lit like this is the best version of a dog's life that you can live. You literally got thousands of years of genetics. You love to run and pull. You give her born. You get held and pet and loved and fed and go on adventures with your human being. Then you go and do this running and pulling thing that somehow feels right. And it feels amazing. They love it. And then they go and on these epic adventures and you'll see these 2-year-olds start the race with one way and one mentality, not knowing what they're capable of, and they get 3, 4, 5, 6, 700 miles all the way to the finish line, and you got a completely different dog that is confident and you know, I was just around all these dogs that have insane experience, like tens of thousands of miles each, and just to see like they just have this aura of just like I know what I'm doing, like do you know what you're doing? And I kind of know what I'm doing, but they're just an amazing animal. It's just a special thing, and if you can just do anything when you're up here in Alaska, you have to go to a dog kennel. And if you're here in the summer, I know you don't get to go on the sled in the snow, maybe, unless you fly a helicopter up to a glacier. You gotta visit these. They're just so happy and living the best life. And it's a completely different dog lifestyle than you would ever think is imaginable. Oh, yes, they're living outside year round. Yes, they run thousands of miles a winter. And yes, they're the happiest dogs on the planet. Period. And they're the best athletes. The best.
Nice.
That's
Nice.
what it's all about, dude.
Dude, like I feel like if I ask you a couple more questions, you could just keep going for like another couple hours on this. But for the sake of everyone, the 5 people that are watching live right now, um, uh,
It is like 3 a.m. in 2 a.m. almost 3 a.m. 2 a.m.
almost 2. Yep. Yep.
Brendan, thank you so much for pulling an all-nighter practically. And but no, dude, I loved the bibs with the total. That was so cool. I was like, because I don't have that all memorized with the bibs and like who ran how many Iditarods. That was actually like really sick. I was just like reading that the whole time, just like, oh, okay. I didn't know that Matt ran 13 straight Iditarods. That's pretty
Dude.
cool.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and like what was it? That there was 2 that have over 20. It was Jessie Royer. I think this is her 22nd. And Aaron Burmeister. This is
Damn.
23rd. That is impressive. And
Be
I
interesting to
mean,
see what those two do. But
it
we'll talk about that. You'll
yeah.
talk about that with someone
Yeah.
else later.
That'll be another question for another person. But
Glad we got to spend a lot of time with the rookies, man, because sometimes it's, they're not the most biggest celebrities or whatever. So I'm
yeah,
really
I mean
glad we
we
spent the whole time talking about them.
yeah, I think it was the right thing to do. I think the intention was maybe to talk about more, but Shawn and I are long-winded, and we're gonna have plenty of time to talk about everyone. And I don't think everyone wants to watch us break down 40, 38 of people consecutively. So,
Yeah.
but hopefully you all enjoyed this. You found it useful. I'm certainly looking forward to the race starting. I'll be releasing a schedule of who's going to be on and what day. Our first live is going to be on Monday. I just don't see a point of tomorrow. Like Shawn said, you guys tune into the Insider and watch the ceremonial, and then also turn into the Insider for the restart. And I just think that A, there's not going to be a lot to talk about. B, what they're doing is not even remotely close to what we are going to be able to do. And so we've always said that what we're doing is supplemental to the Insider. And so this isn't anything where we're like, oh, let's see if we can cover the restart and ceremonial in a way that they don't already do. So we will next see you guys on Monday. I will keep it a surprise as to who is kicking things off, but I will tell you I'm very excited to have this person on. And Shawn, man, best of luck out there on the trail, bro. I'm gonna be thinking about you. You know, I think it's interesting that you've heard from a few people that have said that this could be a little bit more demanding, or
It's not true. I'm sorry, but there's no
no,
way,
there's
dude.
no
I'll
chance.
check back in with you, but all I got to do is take care of myself, and I don't really give a shit about myself. So that'll be easy. And then I just have to stay. I got to film dog teams. I'm going to film a bunch of dog teams. You telling me that's harder? I know I won't sleep. The sleep deprivation might be harder than
Dude,
the
I,
sleep
I
deprivation of
I
I did
just hope
Robbins.
that we
But
have
taking care of
like
14 dogs down 1,000 miles of trail, I don't know, dude. Come on, Mark. Maybe my, I don't know. Mark probably knows better than me. I've done this for 35 years. But
alrighty, folks. Until next time.